I'm back. So I just wanted to come through here, give y'all the rest of the story. I'm gonna be coming back and forth, putting this thing together for you about my sister CECE and her brain aneurysm and stroke. But I wanted to make sure that I continued the conversation, even though it's a different day. It's gonna be a different day. It might be a different week, but I'm definitely gonna give y'all the journey all the way up through and continue through her progress and recovery. When I left off, I was talking about how she had her like third operation after she had the aneurysm coiled and clipped, and then she had the stroke, and they had to go in and deal with that, and she had locks like I do now. At the time, I didn't have locks. My hair was short. But she had long locks, real long locks when she went in with her aneurysm. And at first with the aneurysm, they didn't even have to go into her head. As I said before, they went in through her femoral artery in her thigh and clipped the aneurysm. But because of the complications, because of the stroke, because of the swelling on her brain, they had to cut all of her hair off, and then go into her brain. Like I said, they took half her skull off so that the swelling in the brain could go down. And man, it was crazy. Like, kept telling us, we don't know how long she'll make it. We don't know, the next 24 hours is critical. And it seemed like everything was happening. CECE has a good heart. There's nothing wrong with her heart. But because her temperature was rising all of the time, they had to put the cooling blanket on her. They couldn't lay her down a certain way because it would cause her heart rate to drop. Man, I mean, it was just like round the clock craziness. Like, I spent the first 2 weeks that she was in there, I didn't leave the hospital. Me or her girlfriend at the time did not leave her hospital. My mom would come and go every day. My spouse, girlfriend at the time, but my spouse was coming up there making sure stuff was good. But then she was at home making sure the business was still running, because a lot of stuff just halted when CECE got sick. So, but I didn't leave. I slept in the waiting room, and when her girlfriend wasn't in the room with her, I would go in there with her. I mean, in the ICU, Washington Hospital Center, washing up in the bathroom. My spouse would bring me fresh clothes. Family was coming up. Family and friends that knew of her situation was coming up all the time, and they were wonderful, man. We kept notes, wrote a book, and wrote in our book the names of people that would come up and what they did. They would come, they would pray, they would bring us food. I mean, I couldn't even eat. It was a thing of, you had to force yourself to eat, even do stuff like eat, because CECE get better, and then you down in the ICU. You know what I'm saying? So it's so important, and I need to say this here for caretakers of people. Caretakers, if you're taking care of someone, anyone that you have to take care of, and you're a caretaker in any capacity, take care of yourself. You have to do that first. I learned that because I had never been a person that would look out for myself first and foremost, always. And I'm not necessarily that now, but what I have done is adapted a regime of self-care. And it's important because, as my sister-in-law says all the time, you cannot pour from an empty cup, and you can't. I cannot help you in any capacity if I'm run down. So I got to do the things that I have to do to take care of myself, and you have to too. Any caretaker, it's crucial. But getting back to that, so I'm sleeping in the waiting rooms and chairs, eating, stuff, forcing myself to eat stuff every now and again, and washing up in the bathrooms. And it was just a crazy time. But that first 2 weeks was just critical and crucial, and she must have gone through at least 3 surgeries during that time. So then we come up on the time of, we're about 17 days in after she had everything done, and I'm out here running errands, y'all, and I just pulled up at the post office, but I'm gonna get this out. So this part of the video is complete. This part of the update is complete, rather. So we're 17 days in. This happened, like I said, on April 15th, 2015, and we're 17 days in now. And so CECE had the what do you call it, ventilator. A lot more people are familiar with what ventilators are now with COVID. But then, you know, I didn't really know too much about a ventilator, but it's the tube that they stick down into your throat to help you breathe. Because she was under, so that she could heal, they put her under, they put her on the junk Michael died off, the propofol or whatever, propofol, whatever it's called. She was on fentanyl for pain, and you won't even believe somebody could come through what she came through after you see the pictures and all the stuff that she was hooked up to, connected to, and was on. So she was under in like a, you know, medically induced coma, if you will, so that her brain could heal. And they were kind of bringing her out of that at this 16, 17 day point. But what we were told was that she could no longer be on that ventilator, but for so long, you know, you get infections start setting in and all kinds of crazy stuff. So the doctor, her surgeon, the nurses, they wanted to call a meeting, and they did. So that 16, 17 day after April 15th, we gathered in the waiting room of the ICU. And it was myself, my spouse, her CeCe's girlfriend at the time, my cousins, my aunt, my mom. It was a bunch of us, family. And the surgeon pretty much told us that we should make CeCe comfortable and let her slip away, because if she survived this, she will not be able to do anything. She won't be able to walk, talk. She won't be able to know who she is. You could say, this is specifically what he said to us. You could say, what's your name? And she would say, she, you know, ramble. If she said anything, she wouldn't know what's going on. It would be pretty much no quality of life. She would be a vegetable. And that hit hard. That hit hard because I'm going to share the pictures and the stuff that I have, the videos that I have. If you knew CeCe, she was all life. She was the life of the party and all life. She was, went to Frostburg State University. She is a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. She was very active with her line sisters and her sorority. She gave of herself so much to that job. She genuinely wanted to teach each and every kid that came through them doors how to swim herself. You know, anything she could give and do, she did. CeCe was beyond, big and beyond, you know, life. She directed we turned out vice president of a publications company, Urban Fiction, the Cartel Publications, and because CeCe went to Frostburg for direction, movie production, video production, my spouse, who is the CEO of the Cartel Publications, tapped her and said, okay, I'm gonna let you direct. We can turn in one of our books into a movie. And she tapped CeCe to direct it. And that was a crazy process, but we clicked. We worked together so well, all three of us. Did it again for Mother Monster, which is raunchy. The first movie was Pitbulls in a Skirt. The second was raunchy turned into Mother Monster, where CeCe and Toy directed, both directed that. And CeCe did what she had to do to get the shot. She would lay it out on the roof of her Cadillac, holding a camera and barely holding on. into the mirror, because we gorilla, we was out there just getting it. And she, while the car's driving, laying on the top of the roof, holding the camera, getting a shot. She stood on top of the cartel van and was filming buildings to get the shot. I mean, she was larger than life in that regard, in her life and in her leisure and in fun, life of the party. So for the doctor to say, she not gonna have no quality of life, and she's 35 years old, it was like, yo, what do you do? What are you supposed to do in this instance? I don't know what to do. I couldn't believe what he told us, and thank God we didn't believe it. Because right after that, like I said before, they had started to kind of bring her out of that medically induced coma. And right after that large meeting and the tears I had and taking deep breaths, my spouse and I and her girlfriend went into her ICU room, and she looked at us. She was awake and was looking at us. She even gripped my hand. That told me right then and there, she's in there and she got a whole lot more life to live, and damn a doctor. Nah, do what y'all gotta do to keep going. Keep going. Take the vent out, take the breathing machine. Okay, take that off. Cool. And then they said if we do that, then we're gonna have to give her a trach, which is they take the vent out, they cut the your neck, your right here, and your neck, and they put a tube in it so that it's a less invasive way of her being able to breathe or help with breathing, and she could keep a trach in and not be hooked up to the machine. She could go around with a trach. So they trached her. They put a feeding tube into her stomach so she can eat, because she's got the trach in, so she can't eat food. And then they were like, okay, so we'll do that. And we said, do whatever you got to do. She did that. So the operation was successful. They started coming around and they started trying to do therapy, transferring her, sitting her up. And then once she did those kind of things well, they basically said, okay, she's out of here. And they sent her to a nursing home. And this process was so crazy. She had a job at the time all of this happened. Like I said, she was working for the District of Columbia, the pools, DC Parks and Rec is what it was. And so she had insurance. But what she did not have was long-term care insurance. This is another jewel here, people. Check your policies. I don't know how this stuff works now with COVID out here, and how they're gonna be revamping stuff with COVID or for COVID. But if you have a health insurance policy and there is an option to check to be covered for long-term or even short-term medical care, make sure you check that box. When we found out that she had the option to do that, and it was only going to be 30 cents more a month on her policy, but she elected not to do it, which is understandable. If you're 30-something years old, you're not thinking about no long-term life need to be cared for. If something happens to you, you're not thinking like that, but you should. Anybody that has health insurance, I don't care how old you are, check that box, get that coverage, because that was the reason she was not able to have her health insurance cover her beyond a certain amount of time with this illness. So we had to apply for all kinds of stuff, man, and get her into a nursing facility, a rehabilitation nursing facility. And you had to do it critically, because once you get to a certain point and you okay, they will kick you out the hospital, and they pretty much did that. I mean, so that'll be the next part of my video. I think this is a good place to end it, because I gave you up to the point where she did pull through. She came through all those critical moments, all of those surgeries, and now we're at the point in the story where she would have to go to a rehabilitation facility to get back on track of lifestyle again. And that was a whole nother nightmare waiting for us that we had no idea that we were entering in. So I'm gonna cut that here, and I will be back. Please subscribe to this channel. subscribe to my partner, my wife's channel, Author T Styles. She's on YouTube. She's on Facebook, Author T Styles, or T Styles the writer on Facebook. Her Instagram page, Author T Styles. If you're in Clubhouse, please follow us. I'm Charisse Washington in Clubhouse. She's Author T Styles. Please make sure you subscribe, because again, we're going to continue to come with this kind of content. I want to let you know more and more about this journey in recovery from brain aneurysm and stroke to 5 years later, and where CECE is now. So if you love me, sub me.